5FM and SAfm. Youth in Conversation.
Live at night on the radio, Monday to Thursday between 7 and 10 p.m. I'm your host, Smash Afrika for the babies. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You've been hearing the promos, right? Oh, I thought you listened to 5FM all the time, man. The promos around commemorating 1976, June 16. Nomsa Mdluli from SAfm will be joining me for a simulcast broadcast, SAfm and 5FM, where the conversation is centered around the youth. Hashtag youth in convo. Please, to my live at nighters, let's be great hosts to all the beautiful people out there at SAfm and just show them how much it's so much nicer to be a young person.
Youth in Conversation.
And this is the evening that we've been waiting for. Welcome to it. I'm Nomsa Mdluli from SAfm, and this is a dual broadcast of Youth in Conversation as we commemorate and also celebrate Youth Month. If you are on 5FM, you're not lost. SAfm and 5FM are together for this hour. We are doing it together. And on Monday, we set up a Twitter poll on both the SAfm and 5FM platforms, and we asked you to choose the topic that you'd like us to discuss, and an overwhelming majority felt that we should tackle the issue of youth unemployment, and of course understandably so, because South Africa's unemployment rate is one of the highest in the world. Figures from Stats SA show increasingly more young people are out of work, and this has been described by some analysts as a ticking time bomb. I am in the 5FM studio, and Smashy Smash.
That's right. When you hear that music in the background, you should know Smash for the Babies is in the building. Nomsa, welcome to 5FM.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us. Hey, this is really great.
And I just want to say to the listener of SAfm, good evening. My name is Smash Afrika for the babies, your host for tonight with Nomsa Mdluli. It's a hashtag Youth in Convo on Twitter. That's the hashtag we want to use tonight. At 5FM, that's where you find us, as well as.
And at SAfm Radio on Twitter. And you can also follow me on Twitter on @Nomsa_MD.
Now, the cool part is that you listening on 5FM and on SAfm, you are also part of this conversation, especially concerning youth unemployment. And of course, you know, the 5 Squad had to be part of this conversation because they represent a big part of the youth that's part of 5FM today. And in the building, I've got Zanele and Tools. Welcome to Live at Night, kids. How do you feel tonight?
Feeling good, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so good, especially because it's such an important matter that's being discussed tonight.
I feel so professional. I feel like a father. Nabantana bam. And then Nomsa is the mother. Okay, cool. It's really simple. We want solutions.
We do want solutions, but in order also to find the solutions, we also need to understand the problem. So we need young people to share with us what their struggles are in terms of finding jobs, how this is impacting on their lives, on the lives of their families, on the lives of their community. So we want your voice to be heard. We need you to lead the conversation.
Now, if you take a look at our respective social media handles, specifically on Twitter at 5FM, you need to be part of that conversation at SAfm Radio, hashtag Youth in Convo. And stats are a big part because without the numbers, we don't necessarily know how youth unemployment affects my brothers and sisters who are currently in tertiary and in high school, respectfully. But with that said, I just want to bring Zanele and Tools in over here. Fresh out of varsity, how easy was it for you guys to get employed?
I think for me, the reason why I was able to get employed and I suppose not struggle so much was only because I invested in it a little bit before I got out of varsity. So I was one of the privileged people that got to be able to do some of the groundwork before I actually got a permanent job. Whereas with other people, they don't really necessarily get the opportunity to be able to be part of certain organizations that they would like to be part of and sort of get the intern work in and be able to open those doors that allow them to then possibly get jobs.
On the line, joining us is Statistician General Risinga Maluleka. Good evening. Welcome to SAfm and 5FM. My name is Smash Afrika, and I've got Nomsa Mdluli, and she's about to grill you.
I'm not about to grill you.
Good evening.
What do the latest stats reveal about youth unemployment in this country, Mr. Maluleke?
For those with less than matric, it's sitting at 58.4%, about 60%.
Young people without a matric sitting at over 58% who are unemployed. And these are the numbers that obviously people surveyed. And, you know, if you want to get into stats, you can get into stats. But that is a shocking number. But you think to yourselves, like, what about those people? They don't have an education. And in terms of society, when you don't have an education, you are actually pushed to the side. Whether we do it like consciously or subconsciously, if you don't have an education, we generally underestimate you, isn't it? So in your experience, Tools, like, how do we also now give those people with no qualification, let alone a matric, an opportunity to try out and see if they're eligible to work or not?
You know what's crazy? These days, it's almost like you can have a qualification, but still be looked down upon, right? So these days, it's crazy. It's like not having a qualification doesn't mean you can't get a job, because people with qualifications are still struggling to get appointments. So literally these days, I think it's all about you and your hustle. It's gotten to a point where it goes beyond where you studied or what you studied. I think it's gotten to a point about who you know and how well you know them, at least in my experience.
I wonder if Mr. Maluleka's got the stats on who's hustling and who's not hustling. But Nomsa, just roll him in the chat there.
Tata Maluleka, who is the most affected in terms of youth unemployment between males and females?
Females remain mostly vulnerable to labor markets, particularly Black African women.
It's sad to think, like, for someone who's got a little sister, right, and for a population where it's predominantly women, they actually suffer the most. So we've got a high population in young people and women leading the numbers, and they are the most vulnerable at this time. Now, here's my thing. I came into this conversation because I'm a very solution-based dude, right? And I was like, I want to, like, just clear the air around expectations. One, the reality of where the jobs are going to come from. Two, and three, how we can all play a part as society in making sure that we end youth unemployment in South Africa. So now the expectation, what I have discovered, and this is through watching the news, reading publications online and newspapers, is young people who are interviewed are heavily reliant or expect the jobs to come from the government. Now, the truth is, government is not going to give you the jobs that you want. What the truth is, government will create a platform for businesses to come into the country where legislature is concerned, and making sure that we do not break the rules that we have set out as a country, and people are not exploited. That's the first thing, because human rights is a big thing, and also when we look at exploitation in the workplace is another thing, right? But at the same time, I saw early this year that when they were talking to young people in terms of finding out whether they registered or not, and they said they're registering because they are hoping to get jobs, the jobs that they have been promised by the politicians. The reality is that it is not only the politicians who are going to give you the job. The concept of believing that they will give you the jobs is old. It doesn't work. We need to create opportunities for us to be hireable. Society needs to play a role. The private sector needs to play a role. You understand what I'm saying? But those are just my sentiments. And I'm just touching on one of the three that I mentioned. So, Nomsa, on the line we are joined by
Simi Siwisa, and she's executive director at Stradvest. Do you think South Africa, the direction that we're taking in terms of the skills that learning institutions are offering, are they going in the direction of economies of other countries in the world, or are we lacking as far as that is concerned?
If we look at the data that was presented, if 31% of our graduates are unemployed, it definitely means we are doing something wrong. If someone who spent 3 or 4 years in a post-high school facility and they still can't get a job, their training does not meet the requirements of the economy. And we've got to address that. Yeah. It's important that we don't politicize this and say, why would it be that graduates are on our streets?
You know,
now,
sorry to interject. I just want to add on to that. Like, the biggest part also here is that people influence each other what to study at tertiary institutions. You get, like, let's say, for instance, being a CA is the in thing, and you just have the right credits. You go out there and you think the workforce is looking for CAs. You graduate, and they're like, we are covered with those numbers. We actually need engineers. Not so many years ago, we're saying we have a big shortage of engineers across the board in South Africa. What has education and training done, and I'm talking about from technical high schools to tertiary institutions, to speak directly to these people who are looking for these set of skills from these young people. What have they done in starting a dialogue between one another and saying, these are the skills that we need. You've got the candidates who can actually pass these subjects and who want to pursue these things. Let's exchange. Is that conversation happening? Because from a South African point of view, and even from a global point of view, it seems like that conversation is not taking place. Why is it that conversation is not taking place?
We have seen with the National Development Plan, there was long-term thinking, but still, when it came to implementation, it did not work. We have seen with the CETAs, it was meant to be a bridge between government and industry to train and create workplace-ready young people. And that still has not done as well as one would have hoped.
So we still have a long way to go and a lot of work to do, Simi. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're now heading to Durban.
All right, cool. We got to check in with the babies in Durban. Hey, 5 Squad, what's popping? We are joined by Leah on the line. We need solutions, Leah. I posed the question. I'm a little baby throwing toys out of his car. I'm like, no solutions, because the kids are not employed. What solutions have you and your friends thought about, Leah? Welcome.
Hey, Smash, and hey, Nomsa, thanks so much for having me. I think that young people are not valued in the workplace in the way that they should be, and Simi touched on that. And I think that when we invest, I think the redistribution of wealth from the old towards the new in terms of investing in young people and their ideas is really important. So that means paying people a living wage with internships. So not everybody can afford to have the privilege of going to get work experience and not getting paid for it.
And I like what you're raising because, for example, when somebody's fresh out of varsity, they don't have a car, they don't have those resources. And sometimes with these advertisements for internships that you see, they'd want somebody with their own transport, your own laptop. Where do you get that when you haven't even had a job?
Ladies, I just got to intervene over here, man. Like, you got to meet the person who's giving you an opportunity halfway. So yes, there's an internship. Meet that person. They've given you a platform to come and learn and get some skills, right? Meet them halfway. And
absolutely.
And like, I'm saying me, I don't have a car. I don't have money. Come on, man.
You hustle and you make a plan and you work with what you've got and you obviously hustle as hard as you can to make yourself the most employable candidate in the situation.
It's very easy to hustle when you have a twang, like you and I, who've been to Model C schools, who are in Joburg. I grew up in Joburg. In Pretoria, it's the capital city. You've got access to resources. All the government departments are right on your doorstep. But when you are from rural Limpopo, when you're from the Eastern Cape, what resources do you have? First of all, your parents had to do so much to put you through school. They had to sacrifice the education of other children. They had to rob themselves of certain things. So when you say you've got to hustle, you've got to meet the employer, what exactly do you mean?
Nomsa, meeting halfway. Like, I see this application for an internship on Twitter, okay? It's there. It says, we need someone who can get themselves to this place. Sure, granted that you don't have a car. If you apply, you will say...
On transport means having a car.
Hold on. I just want to say, like, when you do apply and you get into that interview, you'll just be straight up like, I applied because... Yes, I do not have a car, but I applied because I feel like I can add value to this.
I deserve a chance.
So that's the first part of doing something. Because the thing is, like, sitting down and saying, I don't have a car. You can get to that same office and get the interview and tell them, first thing first, guys, I do not have a car, but I think I'm the right person that is actually going to make a difference in this here company. And that confidence, number one, if you do not have that self-belief, you're not going to go out there in the world and make things happen. Because it all starts about convincing people. I need to cross over to Courtney. Wait a minute, Zanele. It's getting fired up out here. Courtney out there in Kimberley or Bloom. Courtney.
It's Courtney Smash. But after that, evening.
Courtney, are you there?
Hello, boy, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Bro, solutions. What are your sentiments in terms of this thing of, well, at least my point, my way of doing things is meeting the person who's offering you an internship halfway. What are your sentiments on that? And what solutions have you thought about with you and your buddies?
I do agree that you have to meet the person halfway. You have to bring your weight and do what you need to do in order to meet them halfway and make sure that both of you actually move toward the common goal. Now, I'd like to say that the foundation of the education system is quite off right now because all the jobs that you apply for expect you to have experience, and you don't have environments that actually allow you to curate those experiences. Now, secondly, the content in universities are no longer relevant as it was a few years ago, and the curriculum does not necessarily allow for practical interpretation and is simply not applicable in this day and age. For example, how are we going to apply to Shakespeare to modern day South Africa when we haven't even been taught about
Say it louder, please. And I like the fact that we are coming from different sides.
We are in conversation and young people also having their say, but perhaps the adults can also come in and just tell us exactly how they see this problem, what they think the solutions are. And for parents who have educated their children, who spend so much money in taking their children to universities, and you have them sitting at home, how is that feeling? Do share your experiences with us. You're on SAfm and 5FM. Yeah.
You forgot.
What is your tagline for 5FM?
Nemsa forgot. You know the branding is so big. Yeah, I don't know how you forget.
Yeah,
the
and
five.
it's all over the place. So
Aye,
I'm just used to leading the conversation. When are you living out loud, ne?
Live at night on 5FM, and this is how we live loud to the power of 5. Thank you so much. I got you. I just like messing with you because you are the mother here. Now, in terms of like my buddies from the 5 Squad in studio, Zanele and Tools, I can only give you guys 40 seconds, Zinyana.
Okay.
You disagree with me?
Yes,
Totally.
100%.
So who's going first?
Ladies first.
Okay. All right. So for me, you said that you want a graduate who doesn't have anything to go out to the corporation or business where they want a job to meet them halfway.
Meet the person giving you an internship opportunity halfway.
So Smash, I then give you the situation where there is a graduate who has about 6-7 distinctions and they come from a very, very disadvantaged background. How are they able to meet someone halfway when they can barely get themselves to the interview?
Okay, is that the question that you're posing to me?
Yes, and they are eligible for that job.
I just want to say I do not know, okay? I'm not going to lie and act like I know. But like what I do know is that in order for you to get anything out of this life thing, you need to be the first one to actually actively do something. Whether the odds are stacked up against you or not, we know this, man. We hear of stories of people starting from nothing to doing it. If that person can do it, right? Nothing is stopping you from doing it.
Let's take it back to meeting someone halfway, right? Personal example, I'm literally from East London, right?
Sure.
And I've always wanted to be on radio. Trust me, there's not a lot of places where I can go do an internship within East London where I can really learn to become a really good DJ. So the only best solution is for me to move to Joburg. Get to Joburg, fine. They tell me, okay, we can give you an internship for 6 months. You need a laptop, you need your own transport, and definitely your own accommodation. I organize all of that, right? Get a laptop, get an aunt who's going to allow me to stay there for 6 months. Then you're going to tell me you're going to pay me 2,500 rand. Is that you meeting me halfway?
I think that is.
Because after 6 months, the chance of me still having a job is slim.
I think that's, also there's this concept of like, I like the fact that you actually put out this story, right?
I've been through that.
Yeah, no, it's your life story, right? But like, what did you do to make sure that you stood out? What did you do to make sure that they do not overlook you? You possibly did something. There were a bunch of people that you were competing with who were talented,
This is true.
just as talented as you are, but where are they now? Some of them fell through the cracks, some of them made it. In this world, what we ought to be teaching the kids, right? And this is real. Like, you need to be able to stand up for yourself, right? You need to start believing in yourself. And in this life thing, if you do not come from a background of privilege, man, there are no handouts.
But a stipend for 2,500 Rand is still crazy. What am I supposed to do with that? That's not rent. That's not a car. That's nothing.
You,
Okay,
you
guys.
sound to me like you're ungrateful, man.
All right, let the mommy
You
come
sound
in.
ungrateful.
Let the
Wow.
mommy come in. Let the mommy come in. We have to move to another aspect of youth unemployment. Maybe entrepreneurship is the way to go. Maybe we need to be saying vukuzenzele, right? And I think, as you also said that, this thing should be perhaps be inculcated in us from a very young age, that when you go to school, after school, don't even put a CV together. Think about a business plan. Maybe that's the direction that we need to go. Judging from the conversations, what young people are having, perhaps that that's where we should be going right now.
And where does it start? It starts with the foundation, right? The parents of the kids need to instill that thing with the and you know what? No, you're saying no?
Excuse me, Smash. Do
So
you know that half of people in South Africa, they are waking up at 4 a.m. to go and make money for their children to be able to eat.
So-
then they don't see their children because they get home late. So then how must I now instill entrepreneurship skills in my child?
I'm raising these questions because I want us to have this chat like that way. So with that put into context, right? So mom is always at work, dad is always at work. After school is after school, because Nomsa's suggesting maybe we create an extra curricular where you actually are innovative or you have a business and all of that jazz. Where do the kids end up spending most of their time? Outside of school? Do they spend it on the street? Is there someone taking care of them? Now, it's a societal issue that we also need to deal with. So this thing of dealing with unemployment, especially around the youth, is not just in the facet of like, let's go entrepreneur, let's go education. We also need to look at society. Now, let's wrap it up. In closing, Courtney, what you got to say to inspire the kids and also to give progressive solutions? And we don't have much time, so I'm just going to give you 45 seconds. Let's go.
I'll keep it fast. So the problem that we are facing right now is that poverty, unemployment, and poor education are reinforcing one another. Hence the problem with unemployment in the youth, sitting at 55.2%.
That's right, Courtney. I appreciate you. See you soon, my brother. Zanele,
Yes.
you're closing 45 seconds.
For me, I genuinely feel that as South Africa, we need to invest in the youth in terms of making sure that we understand what needs to be done when it comes to entrepreneurship. So, yes, we need to give people skills when you, let's say, leave varsity or leave high school. But I think we actually need to go back to the foundational phase, like we say, where we put in entrepreneurship in the curriculum in high school already, where you get children ready for the workforce.
Tools Matal.
Just to speak to the youth, man, it's never
Into
too
the
early.
into I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
My voice must have broken it. All right, there we go. Most important thing, bro, is that it's never too early to start working. If you want to be a photographer, if you want to be a rapper, anything, a doctor, start doing your research while you're still in high school. Start doing as much as you can to, inform yourself and equip yourself with as much information to survive out in these streets. Because trust me, a degree and that piece of paper is not enough to make sure that you survive in the South Africa that we're living in.
Oh man, in closing, I'm going to be brief. No one is going to give it to you unless you go and take it. And as abstract and as surface level as it sounds, that's how I made it work. And also in this life thing, we have catalysts. There are people that are working in and around us to help us go up and rise up. You just need to find who your catalyst is by allowing yourself to be in spaces that you are most interested in and you are most likely to excel in. It's one thing to want to be a doctor when maths and science is not your strong point. You understand what I'm saying? So go out there, do something about your future and take it because no one is going to give it to you.
I think in order to solve this problem of youth unemployment, everybody needs to come to a party. So it's a multi-pronged approach. But as a young person and from a young person to another, I think that you do the best that you can do. Make sure that you acquire the right information. Stay in school.
That's very important.
And get your education. And I think that is the best foundation. to break out of the cycle of poverty. But it's been an absolute pleasure spending this evening with you.
Live at night on the radio. Yeah, I know the chats were a little bit deep for you, but if we don't have the deep chats, we are not going to dig deep to fix the problems that face us as a country. Welcome to Live at Night. I'm your host, Smash Afrika for the babies.
5FM and SAfm. Youth in Conversation.